Anyway, Syd, you're a co-host. If you want to kick it off whenever you're ready, you should be able to. I don't know if you have any materials or we're just discussing.
I actually don't have any materials besides, I guess, maybe showing off Google Maps or whatever, but I really proposed this session simply because I wanted to talk about PATCO. I'm in New Jersey. I'm actually in what Philadelphians call the other Newark, which is the Newark in North Jersey, and not Newark in Delaware. But yeah, I won since Philadelphia and New York City transportation camps tend to be less focused on New Jersey issues. I wanted at least one New Jersey session here at camp. So I figured let's talk PATCO. Does anyone want to kick off any discussion points? I guess maybe one of the things that I was thinking was that, of course, PATCO and Atlantic City Rail Line run close to each other and meet at Lindenwold. But is there a reason why they shouldn't kind of just be merged? Like, it seems like a bit of it is duplicate service. So just throwing that idea out there.
Do you know anything about the right-of-way that the AC line uses? That's a good question. I've never thought about it.
Oh, do I know anything about it? I know that the AC line goes from 30th Street Station and goes all the way through North Philadelphia before crossing into New Jersey on a rail bridge near the Betsy Ross Bridge. And then, let me share my screen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because the thing that I'm wondering is if they share any trackage with any freight, that could be a complicating factor for running PATCO stock kind of east of Lindenwold.
So it runs from 30th, goes all the way up through North Philadelphia. I don't think there's a stop at North Philadelphia, but don't quote me on that. Then it runs on a rail bridge parallel to the Betsy Ross Bridge. There's a stop at Pennsauken, which is the connection, which is the transfer to the River Line. And then the next stop, it goes around Merchantville. The next stop is the Cherry Hill Station in the Garden State Plaza, Garden State Pavilion. In this development that used to be the Garden State Racetrack. And then it joins PATCO near the Westmount Station, but does not have a stop in Westmount or Haddonfield. And it runs on the same right-of-way, but without any connections until the rail line gets to Lindenwold, where there's a dual station for transfers. And then the AC line runs past Lindenwold through to Atlantic City. I guess one of the thoughts would be, why not just have the AC line just run uh, from Hatterfield through Westmont, Collingswood, and then into downtown Camden, and use the PATCO right-of-way to get to downtown Philadelphia or Center City. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Hey, Sid, it's Steve Maheda. I picked this, so for everyone knows, I also in Newark, New Jersey area, but my brother actually lives in the Garden State Plaza Pavilion area of Cherry Hill, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. I think one concern would be is the difference in trackage. So think like New Jersey Transit Northeast Corridor path in northern New Jersey. There's not a way you could just like divert a commuter train onto the path right away easily. Similar issue with PATCO and New Jersey Transit, Atlantic City Rail Line. Difficult to just basically have the Atlantic City Rail Line follow the PATCO right away into Center City, Philly. But that being said,
so there's a different engage or a difference in electrification. Do you know what the technical difference would be?
Wouldn't know the technical difference, but I'm thinking also in terms of that types of trains. Like you have a commuter rail line, like I'm thinking like I'm saying this off the cuff about statistics, like 3, 4, 5, 6 big car trains. When you're going in Center City fully on PATCO, it makes a couple sharp turns. So I'm not sure how that would work to have an Atlantic City Rail Line going to Center City versus to 30th Street Station. For everyone else on the call, I noticed that SEPTA, New Jersey Transit have a lot of synergy together in terms of like fares. Like you can buy a New Jersey Transit ticket used on SEPTA, and I think vice versa. Has there been any discussion with like integrating like PATCO and SEPTA in terms of fares, or like with the key card, or integrating the system in the area? Thanks.
So a couple thoughts. The New Jersey Transit line runs diesel locomotives, which would be problematic with the tunnels, the PATCO tunnels in Center City. So that would be one of the kind of interface concerns. But I think you could probably solve that, I mean, not easily, but you could probably solve that by electrifying the New Jersey Transit trackage, although I'm sure it's owned by Amtrak. So that would be something you'd have to figure out. It's also single track. My understanding is that it's single tracked past Lindenwold. So kind of once it makes that transition, you'd have to lay a new track, which would be expensive. As far as the SEPTA PATCO fare interface, I know that was a discussion. I have not heard anything about it for a while. And the last time I took PATCO, which was over a year ago at this point, you still needed the PATCO Freedom Card.
Okay, thanks.
Do you know if there's been any discussions about adding stations to either PATCO or to the Atlantic City line?
I haven't heard anything about PATCO or the AC line. I do know that the, I forget what they're calling it, the Gloucester County light rail line is in, I think they've finished the environmental impact statement, and they're looking at a line that would basically pick up where the river line terminates and run into Gloucester County, but I forget where it would terminate.
Glassboro?
Yeah, Glassboro. I was going to say, wherever Rowan University is. Glassboro Camden line, that's what it is. Thank you. So I think that's NJT's South Jersey transit play at the moment.
Right.
And that's a plan that's like, they've tried to do it since like the 80s, and finally it looks like it's happening.
It seems more likely that that will happen before the other light rail expansion that they've been planning since the 90s, which is the Bergen County expansion. So I think the Glassboro Camden line is something that let's talk more about it here. I know someone had posted in the Slack that that was their 3 words, the Glassboro Camden line. I assume that person may be in this this call. Is that the case? Maybe not. Does anyone want to speak up on Glassboro Camden then? Go for it.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, so I am from South Jersey, and I went to school in Philly, so I basically was always using the Atlantic City Express line. And for the Glassboro line, I believe the goal of that was to integrate Rowan University's campus better with public transportation. So Rowan's been really pushing to expand their campus and expand their access and kind of modernize their campus. So I think the goal there was to provide access from Rowan to bigger urban centers. So that's what I know about that project.
Would you know about any intermediate stations between Glassboro and Camden?
I haven't heard anything about an intermediate station. Glassboro is actually not too far from Camden. I believe in addition to providing access to Rowan University, they've also been trying to develop a technology park for like over a decade now. So I think the goal was to also provide professional access to different opening job opportunities in the area, similarly to how the Atlantic City line provides residents of South Jersey access to professional jobs in Philadelphia.
Right. I just did a quick search. Apparently, they're planning a Glassboro station and a separate Rowan University station. Then stations at Pittman, Mantua, Sewell, Mantua Boulevard, Woodbury Heights, Woodbury, Red Bank Avenue, Crown Point Road, Gloucester City, South Camden, Cooper Hospital, and Walter Rand. I guess that brings a good question. Are there any transit-oriented, are there any good TOD opportunities along that route near each of these stations? Does anyone have any thoughts? Did someone just jump on? All right, moving on then. So how can we start to integrate transit in South Jersey in a better way for South Jerseyans to access activity nodules such as malls or downtown Camden, of course, Central City, Philadelphia as well, Atlantic City, maybe some of the shore points.
I think for that light rail line to really see the ridership we would all hope for, they probably really need to focus on and think about the connection to PATCO and getting people into Philadelphia. I'm not super familiar with the area that they're planning. It looks like it more or less follows. I'm looking at this right now, so apologies if this is wrong. It looks like it kind of follows 676 south, and then maybe 55 or something. But it doesn't look like it's a very dense area. So I think, it's kind of a riverline situation where it might be amazing for a relatively small population. But if you really want to drive ridership, I think, like you said, transit-oriented development, and then for me, thinking about how we can focus on the connection to Philadelphia.
There's also that they are planning the Walter Rand connection, the Walter Rand transportation center connection between River Line, PATCO, and this Glassboro-Camden line. So I assume that's a way to integrate ridership into Center City. But of course, there are other points of interest besides Center City. Of course, including Rowan University, maybe Cherry Hill Mall, Morristown Mall, what's the thing that used to be Echelon Mall? I guess Voorhees Town Center. And Voorhees Town Center is actually quite close to the PATCO line, but is unfortunately halfway between the Ashland station and the Lindenwold station. But there is a redevelopment of that mall in the works with residential and new retail. So does anyone want to speak on any thoughts?
I feel like NJ Transit's current transportation plan really focuses on more so North Jersey and interconnectivity with New York City. So I would personally like to see either a robust bus service or a rail line that kind of follows parallel to the different shore points and allows connectivity as far south as Cape May, includes Atlantic City, and will eventually transition into New York City. And there could exist potential for developing Atlantic City as a place for transitioning either folks who are coming from Philly to the shore points or folks who are coming from New York and actually want to head to Philly. I just would personally love to see more access to the different shore points with public transit. Some of the interconnectivity, there is some buses, but from everything I've read from living in South Jersey, the buses aren't used as effectively as they could be, and ridership is down there. So I think if NJ Transit worked better at advertising their current connectivity to shore points to boost ridership, and then hopefully start a cycle of more ridership, more robust infrastructure for that, and then better accessibility. That's personally just what I would like to see in the area.
One of the questions, I guess, that came to mind is how in the previous session, there was the talk about blowing up SEPTA because how SEPTA isn't really working for Philadelphia. is the current structure of NJ Transit being a statewide agency only working for South Jersey, or maybe South Jersey should have its own transit agency.
So I would definitely say that NJ Transit is not working for South Jersey right now. If you just look at a map of what NJ Transit has, it is very dense up in North Jersey, and then in South Jersey it is essentially just the Atlantic City line. I'm not sure though.
There is the river line as well.
Yeah. But even then, the river line connects Camden north, and so even at that point, we're more in a central Jersey kind of area. I don't know if transitioning to having just a South Jersey transit organization would work, though, just because I'm not sure if they would get the proper funding if it was a separate entity. I think it would just be better if there was some more advocacy for infrastructure in South Jersey. There are a lot of rural areas there, and I understand why there's more dense service up in North Jersey, where it is essentially a suburb for New York. But I am excited to hear about the Glasgow line, because I think Rowan University's push to make it a center of commerce and innovation is very...
And Rowan University has designs on becoming the preeminent public university for South Jersey as well, which is not how New Jersey's higher education is structured. But I guess they're working on that too.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Princeton University, so we have one Ivy League in the state. And there's also Rutgers, but Rutgers is also in North Jersey.
There's the Rutgers-Camden campus, but I'm sure Rowan would like to take over the Rutgers-Camden campus too. And of course there's Stockton as well, near Atlantic City.
That's right. They're also, Stockton's right next to Atlantic Care's mainland campus. That's the main hospital in the region.
Okay.
And it is directly adjacent to the Garland State Parkway.
Is there an Atlantic City rail line stop that serves Stockton?
There is not. I'm trying to think. The closest one would be the Absecon stop. And from Absecon, you can get on, I forget which road it is, but if you head west from there, you can get to Stockton in about a half hour, I would suppose.
I'm looking on Google Maps right now. Maybe they should. So there's a gap between the Absecon stop and the Egg Harbor City stop.
Yep.
Maybe, I guess, around Pomona Road. Maybe, and Pomona Road leads to the Stockton campus. Mm-hmm. So maybe having a new AC rail line stop at Pomona Road would be helpful. I do recall hearing about how they wanted to build a station for Atlantic City International Airport on the AC line. Yeah.
A lot of folks, my dad works at the Tech Center, and the Atlantic City Airport is the National Guard, the Air Force, and the federal, or the FAA's William J. Hughes Technical Center. It is in the area I grew up in, almost everyone I know either worked for the casino industry or for the Tech Center. And a lot of folks who don't live that close to the Tech Center will use the rail line, the Atlantic City rail line, to commute in, and they'll leave their cars parked at the Absecon station. So moving a stop closer to the airport would be really beneficial for professionals who work in the area.
As well as passengers flying in and out of Atlantic City to airport to visit the casinos at Atlantic City. But I don't know. I know there was planning for such a stop. I don't know if that stop would also be able to serve Stockton University. But I also don't know where the funding or where that project has gone.
Gotcha. The airport is run by the Port Authority. It's one of the only spots in South Jersey where the New York, New Jersey Port Authority has control.
I know that used to be true for a few years when the Christie administration made it so, but the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey hasn't actually been involved with Atlantic City Airport in a few years. My understanding was that the way that the Christie administration made it work was that they signed a contract for the Port Authority to manage the Atlantic City Airport, and when that contract expired, that was when the Christie administration was on the way out, and they never renewed it. So Port Authority does not actually have a presence at Atlantic City Airport anymore. I don't know who manages the airport now, though.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for some reason they made a big fuss about it when it started, but then when the contract ended and it died out, they made it. The news was so quiet that no one knew that it happened.
Gotcha.
Hey, I have a question. Just to mix it up a little bit. Does anyone know if the Pennsauken Transit Center is being used a lot? It's the transfer station between the River Line and the Atlantic City Rail Line.
I know construction has been completed and the station is open, but I don't know how much traffic it's getting. Just from Google Street View, it does look like the parking lot is about a third full, so maybe it's getting some use.
That's good.
I'm not sure about how often it's used as a transfer station, but I do know just from riding the Atlantic City rail line that a lot of folks do use it just to get in between Pennsauken and 30th Street Station. I think largely because Pennsauken is a popular place to live if you work in Philly, but you don't want to live in Philly.
Got it.
Right, and if you don't want to live in Camden, which I would imagine there are more people who try to stay away from Camden than Philadelphia. I know there was a big fuss a few years ago when the Subaru of America headquarters moved from Cherry Hill to Camden to a location close to PATCO and the River Line, but there's no specific station serving the Subaru headquarters or the adjacent Campo Soup Company plant. Does anyone know if that's something that has been talked about? I know they were saying that office move, there were planners who were not happy because they were saying that it essentially suburbanizes a part of Camden that should be urbanized. And there were some planners who were happy because it brings more activity into Camden. I also had heard that there were some Subaru employees who were not happy because, a move into Camden was not what they would have preferred. But yeah, I guess when it comes to transit options, are there any points of interest or major office clusters that are good potential areas to expand service?
I think the biggest one I can think of would be the tech center. In between Philly and the shore is largely the Pine Barrens, and a huge chunk of the Pine Barrens is protected land.
Right.
I'm starting to get old, so it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but it might have been like 7 years ago. There was a big fuss about putting a natural gas line through the Pine Barrens, and that got denied, so... which I agree with. The Pine Barrens are lovely. I do enjoy the national parks and the state parks there, but I'm not sure if any of them would warrant a station as an attraction. I think if folks are interested in coming to New Jersey from more urban areas, then their goal wouldn't be the Pine Barrens. It would be the shore. I guess for New Jersey Transit, I think the goal, I do love to see the development near Rowan University and the development of Stockton and the expansion of the tech center and the airport. But I think the aim of transit would be more so getting folks in New Jersey to larger areas of commerce, and if anything, providing transportation from areas that are more urban to the shore and tourist destinations.
So, centers of commerce, would you be thinking of some of the malls around South Jersey? I had mentioned Voorhees, Town Center, Cherry Hill, Moorestown.
I know the Cherry Hill Mall is pretty big. There is a Hamilton Mall, but that's pretty small, all things considered. I personally am not sure if there's that many areas of
folks
development.
Right, or folks who might want to take transit to go shopping.
Yeah, what's going on in Vineland? That looks like kind of the only, I don't know, urban-ish area that we haven't discussed in South Jersey.
Right, and I do think there was an idea that eventually they could bring that, they could extend that Glassboro line down to Vineland and Millville.
I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that would be another phase of that project.
I know in the Vineland area, there's a little town that's trying to be a tourist attraction that's like dedicated to trains. Gosh, I need to look that up. It's trying to be like a cute, like old-fashioned train stop area. I'm sure they would love to have better access to bigger rail lines.
And from there, I'm sure if you extend it past Vineland, you can get to Cape May as well on the shore. But of course, it would go through a lot of rural and forested areas that don't have much potential for current ridership.
Yeah, I would love to see connection to Cape May. And I think the way to do that would be to have like Cape May, Ocean City, Atlantic City, Long Beach Island, and kind of moving along the shore. But structurally, that might be difficult with the quality of soil and the water table in the area.
Right. The water table is more of an issue for subways or underground railways than surface railroads.
Gotcha, yeah. I'm a very new engineer, so.
I know that was an issue with Miami, that because of the high surface water table, they couldn't really do an underground system. So that's why Miami is all above ground or surface transit.
Gotcha. I'm definitely a bigger fan of commuter trains, but I think the way they provide access to shore points might be seasonal buses. I think down in Delaware, where I am right now, they have a few dark bus lines that only run in the summer, and they'll take you to places like Rehoboth that are known for having their beaches.
I know there are some seasonal bus lines that NJ Transit runs from North Jersey down the shore into places like Six Flags in Jackson, which, depending on your point of view, is or is not South Jersey. It's, you know, some people see it as Central Jersey.
I totally forgot about Jackson. I think if we're going to have some more robust rail lines, Jackson would be a good place because there's Six Flags, and I also think that's where, in the area is where Bruce Springsteen is from, and I know that town likes to celebrate that history.
Asbury Park has a rail connection to New York City. So Monmouth and Ocean counties are within the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority jurisdiction. That's NJTPA is the Metropolitan Planning Organization for, I think, 14 of the 21 counties in New Jersey, including all of North and Central Jersey, and including Monmouth and Ocean counties, which are considered, you know, the northern half of the shore, even though they're not North Jersey. So I do know there was a plan about 25 years ago to build a new rail line from Lakewood, which is near Jackson, and connect it to the Northeast Corridor at Monmouth Junction in the South Brunswick area, and then on to New York. But that also was kind of tied into the the Gateway Tunnel project, and things just kind of stalled at NJ Transit with service expansion because they put so much effort into Gateway that never came to fruition.
Seems to be the story of a lot of transportation projects.
Yes. But I think it was also that NJ Transit just put too many resources into something that was very important. But when it got canceled, they weren't able to refocus their resources to other potential expansions.
Gotcha.
I do know I heard recently about a New Jersey Turnpike expansion in South Jersey that they just recently funded. I don't know much about that, though. I guess it's adding lanes to the section of the turnpike that is 2 lanes. So the section between 195 all the way to Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Yeah, I actually use the turnpike in that area very briefly when I'm going between where I live now and home. I actually believe the company I'm working for, our water resource group, is doing some of the environmental impact studies in the area.
Oh, okay, interesting. Where do you work?
JMT in North Delaware.
Okay,
and I think, do you know where the Waymount furnace is?
No, I don't.
That's fine. It's along the Black Horse Pike where the Egg Harbor River is very, very small at that point. I know they had some environmental impact studies in that area. So I think for the turnpike, they're still in that preliminary phase of judging how they can implement the plans that they are hoping for, and if the hydraulics of the area, both environmentally and also structurally, will be conducive to the lane expansion. But I'm in the traffic group, so I don't know that much about our waters group.
It's funny. You're in Newark, Delaware, or you work in Newark, Delaware, and I'm in Newark, New Jersey, in North Jersey, and I actually work in a traffic engineering group as well for VHB, which is this mid-sized firm up and down the East Coast. But VHB doesn't really have a presence in the Philadelphia market. We just acquired an environmental services firm that has an office in South Jersey. So maybe they're starting to grow it. But, you know, we don't really have a transportation practice in Philadelphia or the sunny suburbs. Yep.
I graduated about a year ago. So about a year ago was when I was doing my please let me take the FE and also please let me have a job. So I think I probably ran across your company when I was job searching.
That actually reminds me, I know I was in a meeting the other day about VHB and how its initiative to reach out to more colleges for recruiting purposes. And someone brought up Drexel University, which has
I was an alumni. That's my school.
Okay. I know Drexel has a co-op program. It's that trimester system, right?
A lot of people think it's trimester, but it's actually a quarter. So you do 2 quarters on co-op and 2 quarters in school. The quarters are 10 weeks. So we have fall, winter, spring, and summer. And half of the students will be on co-op fall and winter, and school spring and summer, and the other half is flip-flopped.
Okay.
That's how I got in with JMT, is one of my co-ops I did at JMT in Philly, which definitely helped get the foot in the door of JMT in Delaware.
Yep, I know the reason why they were talking, that conversation was about the co-op structure, because VHB wants to move towards retiring the term internship for co-op. And for a school that, the co-op experience is a major part of their education, it's a good synergy to reach out to that kind of school.
Well, if you're involved with that and you would like to have some contacts with Drexel's co-op group, you can shoot me an email and I can get you in contact with some folks.
Yep. What's your email?
It is, not sure if you can see it, but it is jessica.b97@comcast.net.
Okay. Sounds great. I also have met another Drexel student, Natalia I'm not even sure how it's pronounced. She had done a co-op at Jacobs in New York.
Gotcha. We also have, Jacobs has an office literally across the Schuylkill Bridge from us.
Yep. I know Jacobs is everywhere.
You can't escape them.
Yep. But yeah, I think she is doing an internship now a co-op at Dynamic Engineering, which is a New Jersey-based traffic firm.
Gotcha. I think they, there's actually, I'm from the Egg Harbor region, and I know there's a few that are in the Mays Landing region.
Right.
So there's
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I was thinking of someone else. There's a lot of very little firms in the area. My first co-op was with the little firm that does the engineering for a few of the local towns that I'm from. So the Drexel co-op system they always do background checks and they make sure that it's a valid organization, but they will support groups as big as Jacobs down to firms that only have like 4 full-time employees.
Right. All right. So I don't know if you can see my LinkedIn, but her name is Natalia Jetchik.
I'm not sure if I know her. There's a few Drexel alumni.
Yeah, I know Drexel is a large program, so. But yeah, I also am involved with the ITE MET section mentoring program, where we had someone from South Jersey apply, and he's involved in the mentoring program this year. But I think he went to Rowan. Someone by the name of Brian Hines. I know he recently started, in his application, he wrote he recently started at a new firm that is in South Jersey down the shore. But I don't know what that firm would, I don't remember what that firm is. Let me look.
So I'm actually negligent in my host duties over here, but we are 6 minutes late going into the lunch hour. So I think you can continue, but I should just formally announce that,
No worries, no worries. I figured since almost everyone dropped off, it ended up kind of being a personal chat between me and Jeff.
I don't think anything's going to kick you out if I leave to go to that, but I'm just signifying the formal end, albeit 6 minutes late. So thank you very much. This was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. I hope I didn't talk too much or scare anyone off. It was quiet, and I don't know.
No, this is great.
because there wasn't, a presentation on PATCO, and people wanted to go to check out other sessions. And that's fair because I didn't prepare anything. I just wanted to chat about PATCO, and it didn't seem like there was too many people who wanted to. So, but yeah, I'll catch up with you just in the lunch hour. Is that only on Gathertown?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll find you in Gathertown.
Gotcha. Yeah, my computer just died, so I need to go. It was nice talking to you. Nice meeting everyone.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.